Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Zephyr Training. Today, we're taking a look at real estate transaction tools, namely zipForm Plus and DocuSign. I'm Jeff, your support manager, and I'm joined by our VP of Tech, Mr. Hud Bixler. How are you, Hud?
I'm doing well, and by the library behind me, you can see that I'm well read as well. This is
clearly.
Would you like to see my awards?
Yes, please.
There you go. There you go. That's one. There's only one award that I've received my whole life.
That's the one that counts.
Welcome, everybody. Happy to be back and happy to be sharing our education series with you online. It seems to be a great format, at least for us. Jeff and I get to interact, and we get to goof off a little bit, but mainly the focus is trying to get you in and out on a particular topic as soon as possible. A little bit of housekeeping, Jeff. Maybe you can remind them how to ask questions, then I'll get started.
Yeah, sure. So we're very fortunate. We've got 7 viewers on the line, 8 viewers, people coming in. So we'll chat a little bit here. This is meant to be an interactive session. So the upside, obviously, is that you can always follow along live and then also watch the recording on demand. You can also subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a session. If you have any questions during today's session and you're in the live audience, there's a chat box on the right side of your video player there, and all you need to do is enter your question there, and I'll read them back to HUD when we get to kind of a natural stopping point. So just use the live chat on the right, and we'll get to those questions as soon as we can.
All right, cool. So I'm going to start screen sharing, and we'll be right in there in just a moment. Let me share my screen. And hopefully everyone is in there and can see what I'm looking at. Okay, Jeff, you can see, I hope?
Yep, everything looks good. We're seeing our front page here.
Of course. Okay, so today's focus is going to be on sort of reaffirming some of the things you might already know about zipForms and DocuSign. And if you weren't aware, I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks to kind of get you through the transaction process seamlessly, or at least getting you to the offer process, and also a couple shortcuts so you don't have to continuously type your name and your clients' names, and you know how annoying that can be. Those of you who were in my in-office sessions and have taken sessions from myself or Jeff or the team know that we like to dig into an application and find benefits and tricks and ways to get through things faster. There's a lot of things in many of these applications you can just ignore, but there are a few things you might not be aware of. Sort of a little bit of housekeeping here. I want to make sure that you guys are aware of the differences between the CAR zipForms and the Zephyr zipForms, or the CAR Broker Edition, which is what Zephyr has. CAR zipForms comes to you because you are a member of the California Association and you get an access to zipForms. And I'm going to click on car.org. You get access to zipForms just by paying your dues, and that is a personal addition to you. That means that it's all up to you to build your own templates. It's all up to you to access your libraries and to add any additional services, such as if you wanted to add the zipForms mobile, or if you wanted to add MLS Connect and all those kinds of things. In short, it's a non-managed experience, and you must do it all on your own. About 3 years ago, we moved to zipForm Plus or zipForm Online. You can call it either one. That is the brokerage edition of zipForm. CAR launched this product a few years ago. What it allows us to do as a brokerage is to add our Zephyr forms and also create templates and share those templates with you as agents. A few years ago when we brought this on, Matthew Borland and Noriko and the team, and with Randall's guidance as well, and then when Aaron came along and Marin, we built these templates, and these are going to be for writing offers, both single family home, TICs, condos, PUDs in Marin. And also it's going to be for listings and having also the listing packages along with the disclosures. So it really, most of you are using zipForms Broker, and really all of you should, because no Zephyr forms are going to exist in the CAR version anymore. So if for some reason when you go to CAR, or you're just sort of on autopilot when you go to zipForms and you go to CAR and you click on zipForms, you're going to the wrong spot. Excuse me. So the only reason I'm showing you this is to say, don't go here. So what you really want to do is go to zipForms, either zipForm Online or zipFormplus.com. I'm going to cough just a moment. Excuse me. And you're going to log in here. Once you log in here, you're in the managed experiences Zipper, the Zipper, the Zephyr zipForms broker account. So I'm going to log in real quick. Let me use my password generator tool, and hopefully it'll work. Excuse me. There we go. It's going to log me in. And you can't escape the marketing from zipForms, even when you use the broker edition, or from CAR, I should say. So now just continue on through. And here we are. So the first time I log in, as your first time login, you want to make sure that you have a couple things set up. And one of the first things you want to do is log in and go to your name here, and click the drop down, and go to your profile. Jeff, anytime that you have any questions that come up, we can I can take them as they come in, or we can just do it every few minutes.
Sounds good. I've just dropped in the link into the live chat for the login for those that just want to make sure they have it. It's zipformplus.com to get to that online login.
Cool. Thank you. You can also go to zipForm online. There's a couple. There's unfortunately they make it they make it confusing just on their own by having multiple URLs. And if you forget all of them, you can simply go to the Zephyr intranet on the dashboard. There's a link in the toolbox for zipForms. At any rate, let me continue. So I logged in and I went to my profile. A couple of things I want to call out here is your username is what we created for you. So typically it's going to be your first name, last name, and your email address. If you log in successfully and you want to make changes, you can simply just change the name here. Some people want to have their username be their email address. You can do that. If for some reason you're trying to log into zipForms and you can't, put in the email address that you think it is, and then hit reset password, and you'll get a password sent to that email address. If you don't, then no worries. Just send in a quick ticket to us, support@zephyrre.com, and we'll very quickly send you a password reset and make sure we verify that we're using the correct email address. Moving down here, this is just your signature. You can copy and paste your Gmail signature in there if you want, but keep in mind, most of the ways you're communicating with your clients through the system is through DocuSign. So most of the time, you're not really emailing documents out of here. You're actually sending e-sign through DocuSign. Of course, right here, you can reset password right here if you wanted to. You will not see manage offices. This is an admin account. The next thing I want to call to your attention is the libraries. This just gives you a list of the current libraries you have set in your zipForms account. There are many libraries. The ones that you are going to see in your account are going to be the CAR library. They're going to be the zipForm, the Zephyr real estate library, and they're going to be the SFCA library, which is the San Francisco Association of Realtors library with CAR zipForms. So what you may recall in the past, there was an SFAR library that is gone now. That has been replaced. It's been gone for about 1.5 years. It's been replaced by the SFCA library, which is a combination of SFAR and CAR forms. That's going to be some of the forms that we used to use from SFAR, such as I believe it's the purchase contract or the listing contract. One of those have been replaced with the CAR form. There's other forms up here, and we can add them as you need them. Some forms that aren't going to be available are the commercial forms, or there are some form libraries, such as in Berkeley or in other areas, where they just have a form library for one small area. Those you're going to have to purchase on your own, or just call up a friendly realtor in Berkeley and get that information. Below here on the bottom, you can see additional products. The MLS Barris, which is the connection to Barris through zipForms, and then I have the MLS Connect for San Francisco. I also have the zipForm Mobile Edition and zipForm Base Services. We do not use the TMS system, the transaction management system here. We use SkySlope. So there'll be more information about MLS Barris or SFAR MLS as I get into a transaction. I will say the zipForms Mobile Edition, they haven't changed that app, if you want to call it that, in probably 3 years. It's not so great. I would just suggest if you're going to write a contract and need to spend the time, I would suggest you do that on a laptop. Certainly sending documents through DocuSign you can do via the mobile app, but I really suggest don't waste your time too much on the zipForm mobile edition. It really hasn't gotten much better. So moving up, let's go to our settings. And this is one of the important things you want to be aware of, is how to connect your DocuSign account to zipForms. It's going to be defaulted. The default setting will be ZipLogic's Digital Ink, which you do not want to use because it does not engage any templates. We give you zipForms for free. I'm sorry, we give you DocuSign for free at a value of about $200 to $250 that you would have to pay. So I would certainly encourage you to continue to use DocuSign. So you're going to put in your DocuSign credentials. If you're not sure what they are, again, you can just try to log into DocuSign. If it doesn't work, reset your DocuSign account. And if you happen to still be paying for DocuSign, please do let Zephyr support know, and we will remove that account for you. Try to get your accounts merged. And if you just recently paid, we do have the ability to get you a reimbursement for what you paid. So good idea to be on the Zephyr Zephyr DocuSign account. So now that I put in my credentials here, all I'm going to do is hit save here at the top. And once I get this green check, I'm going to feel really good about this. That means that I am now fully connected between my zipForms account and my DocuSign account. Now, scrolling down here, none of this you really need to pay attention to. I don't think you really want to change the color scheme on your forms. There's better ways to spend your time. You can Zapier is a way to connect third-party applications, but there's nothing for us. We haven't, in the years that we've had it, we really haven't found a way to, or anything to use it for. Anyway, you can just kind of ignore all this other stuff. And I really think that's it. Let's go back to transactions, and let's talk about getting into additional setup process. One of the things that zipForms does have, like many systems, is a contact management. Well, not necessarily contact management, but it allows you the ability to add contacts to your system. So we're going to go to contacts and talk about that. These are my contacts. I don't have that many in here. You can certainly import. So if you have a list of your top 15, 20, 30 buyers that you're working with, for example, you can import them into this list. And that's great. That'll save you some time. You also can add people to this contact list, to your contact list, in the middle of a transaction. The one thing you should do first, though, as in today, is add yourself as an agent. This will eliminate the need for you to put in your license every single time, your contact information, all that. So what you do is you create a new contact here, and under transaction role, you select agent. I notice that the fields just changed, and now I have all the fields that I would need here, such as the broker name, broker firm name, office ID, which is that there's a lot of sevens in there. That's all I know. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but we joke in our trainings that it's usually, someone's writing an offer, and when they yell to the front desk and say, hey, can you tell me what the broker office ID is? So at any rate, you would fill all this information out, street address, agent name, your agent ID and your agent license number are the same thing. You input all of that information, and then you can hit save, and that saves that to your account. Saves that, and you can, again, in this case, you're only gonna see personal, not brokerage or office, and hit save. Question? I hear it.
Yeah, it's actually not coming in from the chat, so the chat's a little sleepy, so I'm going to throw this one out for them.
Good.
What is my benefit for adding contacts to this screen as opposed to just entering them on the transaction?
Well, that's a good question. Historically, we have talked about when you are, this is before we had zipForms brokerage, which allowed us to manage templates globally for the whole organization. Agents would create their own template, and I trained this way. You would create a template, and you would create what is called a cover sheet, and a cover sheet is where you would fill out and you'd have to create two templates. One would be on the listing side, one would be on the brokerage or on the purchase side. The idea is, depending upon your role on either of those transactions, you would have put in your contact information, including your license number, your email address, your fax number, and all that information, so that when you started a new transaction, you could grab from that cover sheet and then have that populate the whole transaction. So this eliminates that step. You take a little time extra and you put in your information here, and that will populate the entire contract. And I'll show you that comes into play once we start a contract. And so it really gets down to doing this setup process now will save you a lot of time later. You would do the same thing with your clients that you're working with on a regular basis, you can input them here as well. So let's say you're writing an offer today, you write the offer. We can write an offer in 10 minutes as opposed to 25, where you have to constantly type people's email addresses and names. Of course, in zipForms, it is anytime you enter a name field in zipForms in a form, like in a cover sheet or a purchase contract, that does populate all the forms, but this is another way to save you a little bit of time. Hopefully that answered your question, Jeff.
That was helpful.
All right, cool. So just like I added myself as an agent, I would go in here and add new clients. So what's their transaction role? They're going to be a client. Let me get there to the top. And then I add the first name, last name, and their email address. That's really all I need. If I know their property address, then I would add that there, and then I would save it. All right, so we've gone through that. Now let's get to creating a transaction, and then you'll see how all of this plays out in just a moment. So from this perspective, we're going to write an offer. We're not going to do a listing right now. We're going to write an offer, but the same process, the same general process does apply. We will go into a listing as a second demonstration. So the first thing I'm going to do is select new right from here. I'm going to name it. This is just going to be a placeholder because I'm actually going to pull in a property address from the MLS. This is going to be a purchase. It's going to be residential. And I'm going to apply the template. Now, it's of course important to note that you're going to apply the template for the type of property that you're writing an offer on. You start with your agent templates that you may see in your account. You have the ability to create your own agent templates if you want to. But then you start getting to global. So I'm looking at the Marin templates, but I'm looking for the SF offer. So I'm looking for SF offer. You notice it says global. I'm looking for SF offer, SFR 2 to 4 units, vacant land. I'll select that template and I'll select save. Now I have started a new transaction, but I'm not done yet. There's a couple things I want to do here. So first thing I want to do is connect the property that I'm writing the offer on with this transaction. And you'll notice these little sub tabs here for parties and property. We'll get to parties in a moment, but let's select property. And you'll have this button that says zipForm MLS Connect. You select the button. Currently, my default is selected to Barris. Randall's login is also Randall's connected to Barris and or SFAR MLS. I'm going to select SFAR. Now, here's one of the things you want to remember. You will just have to do this the first time. Once you connect your account to SFAR or Barris, it will remain connected. So the first time you do this, you'll need to put in your MLS ID and your password. Step 2 is you want to verify that this is a single family home. The MLS property will not be found unless you put in the proper criteria here as a single family home. That is an MLS ID I had copied to the clipboard. I will also include the property photo, and then I will select find. All goes well. I should have the property data in just a moment. It's thinking, it did it. Great. Okay, so you can see it's 571 4th Avenue, and it's giving me that information here. I'm actually going to copy this because I'm going to need to rename my transaction. So I'm just going to copy that. So now I'm going to select import. And it's going to let me know that it's going to override the data in the transaction I created. I don't care. That's fine because I didn't put anything in yet. So I'll select yes. And now you can see that that property information is in fact here. All the way down to the zoning and the APN number, which is always something you guys have to go back into the MLS and find. Well, this did pull the APN number over for you, and you're in good shape. At this point, it's your opportunity to either, and you can do it here, or you can do it in the cover sheet. I'm sorry, or in the cover sheet and or the purchase contract. Or you can put all your data in here, your additional data, such as the purchase price. Let's see, it's 169. Let's do a purchase price of 17000. Let's put well, I won't put the closing date in. I'll put in the purchase date. I'm not going to spend too much time here because I'll just end up spending way too much of your time here on the training. I'll put the offer date of today. And you get the idea. There's a lot more information to input here, but I'm not going to do it at this point. The next thing you want to do is save this for some reason. If I don't save that information, it doesn't save. Yeah, go ahead.
Is there anything required on that field in order to complete the property or to finish the MLS Connect?
Or what do you mean required? As in?
I mean, just anything there that you absolutely have to have. Like we didn't fill in a purchase date or a listing date on.
Yeah. So this is just sort of a form. This is a form for a form. I could have just hit save and then moved on to my documents and filled out the additional information in either the cover sheet or the purchase contract. All that data is relational. If I put it in one spot, it's going to be in all the other spots. The only thing I really wanted to get here, Jeff, is I wanted to get that zipForm Connect and get that property data dropped into here, so it saved me some time. That's really it. I don't have to fill out any of this information until I go to the document section of the contract.
That makes sense.
Okay, so before I get to the documents, because typically that's where you're going to start, we're going to go back to parties, or we're going to go to parties. And you'll notice a few things. The listing broker information came through because we pulled that from the MLS. Now we're going to add, remember when we first started, we added some contacts. And I'm going to add myself as the purchase broker. So I'm going to select new in the contacts.
And just so you know, right now we're seeing a frozen screen from you. It doesn't look like your screen share is coming across.
Okay, give me a second. Let me close and I'll come back in.
Sure. Going to take a moment to say hi to everyone viewing. We got at one point up to 11 viewers. I think that's the most we've had on one of these training sessions. So that is awesome. And shout out to Rob Rogers. I think he might be in the audience because he just subscribed to our channel. Hi, Rob, and thanks for subscribing. You can do that from the Zephyr Training channel at any time. Just click on Zephyr Training and hit that subscribe button on the right side. And I appreciate everybody joining. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to use that live chat on the right-hand side. Otherwise, I'm going to do my best to jump in here with the questions that would be most kind of pertinent to what we're looking at. Looks like HUD's got his screen share back up. So HUD, take it away.
All right, just got to log in one more time. Actually, I was going to have to log in one more time anyway, because for some reason, every time I go back and forth to the contacts, I have to log in and log back out. At any rate, as we know, what's the first rule of if something doesn't work anymore? Smash your computer. That's what you do. No, actually,
and then throw it in the ocean, right?
And then throw it in the ocean. That is the first thing you do. Now, we know what the first thing you do is you try it again. Try it again, because oftentimes the internet is stupid. So I'm going to log in one more time. There you go, Randall. Thank you for showing up. Awesome. And I'll get back to my transaction. The cool thing is that, of course, I saved everything, or zipForm's auto-saved as I was working on it. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I was able to do what I needed to do, and we're all good. So now I'm going ahead and logging back in. And I'm going to take the opportunity actually right now to, you see this is the transaction I just built. I'm going to change the name of it by selecting the drop down here and editing it. And you recall that I had saved the address 571 4th Avenue. And now we'll go back exactly where we just were and open that transaction up. Okay, we were at parties. That's what we were spending our time at. And I'm going to create new. And I'm going to select who this person is in the party. In this case, it's going to be the selling broker. And instead of me typing all this up, which you may or may not have been doing, you may actually have been just going straight to the cover sheet. I'm going to select add contact. It's going to bring up my address book. There's Randall, which would be you. And I'll select save. It brings all my data in, and I hit save. That's done. Now let me bring in a buyer. So we select again. This is the element or the role they play in the transaction. I'll put in buyer 1. I'll add contact, and I'll go to my address book, and we'll use Tommy Jones, and we'll save that. Now, another thing I could do, if you had taken my advice earlier and had set up yourself, but you're kind of in the moment and you'd forgot to set up your client, no worries. You actually can do it all at the same time. I can create, in fact, you could create it yourself at the same time. If I create a new contact here, I select buyer 2. I could fill out all this information to see this option here to save as contact. Then it would actually save, and I could select either a pre-existing category, or I could create another category. And that, when I fill out all of this information for this buyer and hit save, not only will it save it to the contract that I'm writing right now, but it will also save it to my account. So it'll save it to my contacts so that I can use them later. So I kind of showed you 2 ways to add contacts. The first way, of course, is going directly to contacts and kind of doing some pre-gaming here, getting your contact, getting yourself and your buyers and your other clients set up, or you can do it on the fly like I just did. Next thing, let's go to documents, and let's just take a quick look at the work we've done. I'm going to go take a look at the cover sheet. Let's just verify that data has been added there. And there's Tommy Jones. That's my clients. If I scroll down here, I'll see this is the property information. If I scroll down further, I'll see that there's Zephyr Real Estate on the selling broker. That's all that information that I had inputted from the parties. If I go back to the purchase agreement, this is showing all the data that was on the purchase agreement. It's got the property date, the client. It's got my offer. Of course, you would have filled out the rest of the information, but the exercise today is not to fill out a complete contract. This is to show you guys the process. Now, if you needed to add additional forms to this template, to this transaction, you can simply select your forms from the right here, or search for them. Search for any additional forms you need. Or if you had another template you wanted to add, and this is especially important if you're doing a listing. Let's imagine this was a listing, and I selected the listing package template. I can also select the disclosures at this time. If I want to select apply template, that brings up another list here, and I can find the SF disclosures for single family, and then I would just simply apply those. What that does is stack the disclosures on top of my listing package. Okay.
Just going to jump in real quick. The video seems to be cutting in and out for your screen share, so might want to close down any other background windows. It's kind of coming in and out there, so we're kind of losing the video feed periodically. It doesn't look like you have much else running, so
I don't.
Maybe jump out of Gmail. That's yeah. Every Chrome tab will save us a little bit.
Okay, well, I guess I'll do what I can, or I'll have to call Comcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I've got everything closed. There's nothing else actually on. Is it the sound or is it the video?
Sound, as best I can tell, is fine. It's just the video from the screen share. We're just kind of going to a black screen of just your headshot momentarily, and then it's coming back. So it's up now, so continue.
Okay. So it's just describing how to apply a template, and you can apply additional templates to your transaction. So that we can continue. The next thing we're going to do is, let's say if I wanted to add a document, I can add a document right here. This would be a document that is not necessarily part of the form library, but is something I want to add. I can browse for a file, or I can add an external document. Adding an external document would be something like I might have in Google Drive. If I select a Google Drive, that will then bring up my list of Google Drive documents. So this is connected to my Zephyr Google Drive that I can select through and add to my transaction right here, and select add. It doesn't give you, it lets you know it is, you've successfully added it, but then you essentially need to hit the X. The add or cancel seems like it should be just I'm done, but that's how it is. If you scroll to the bottom, you can see that PDF was in fact added. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to select eSign, and that I'm now going to move into DocuSign. Okay, I'm going to create a new packet, a new eSign packet. In this case, I'm only going to do the purchase agreement, do the market conditions advisory, and I'll leave it there. And then I'll move on to the next stage. This is going to bring up all the people that are part of the transaction. So I'm going to select Randall. This is selling agent. Except he's been getting a lot of emails from me during these trainings, so he may not be too interested in receiving that. So I'll select Tommy Jones as my client, and then I'll select done. Now once I select next, sorry, I'm not going to select next. I'm going to select options and that will take me to DocuSign. Next, or options will take you to DocuSign. You'll see why we want to do options first. Options actually takes us to additional options, such as setting the signing order, things that we need to do in order to make sure that the documents get to the appropriate people. So right now we see that there is a signing order set. We see our documents here, and then we see that there's a signing order that is set. If I uncheck that box, and this was shown to me by an agent the other day, which is great because I thought what I'd have to do is go in here and change these numbers to 1 so that each the recipient gets the signing document at the same time. All you have to do is uncheck this box, which is a nice change. And then I can, if I just want to verify that signing order, I can select signing order. This shows that DocuSign test account is going to send to Randall Kostick and TJ Tommy Jones, and then it'll be complete. So the reason why this is important is if you have 3 or 4 people that need to sign, and if you do have a signing order, that means it's going to go to the first person, and it will not go to the second or third or fourth person until each one of those people in that order have completed the signing. So that's kind of a pain, and we want to make sure that that gets taken care of, that is not an issue. We'd rather have it go out to everybody at the same time and come back. You can add a message if you would like. Let's move on to the next option. This is where we're going to see our contract, and we're going to see our purchase contract, and we're going to see that if we scroll down, all of my buyer's information and me as the agent's information in terms of the signing tags has been dropped down. We don't necessarily need to go through all of them. But we'll get down to the purchase contract. Down here, you can see that Randall's information is already there, plus his license number and all that good stuff is automatically added. Looking over here to our standard fields, if you need to make any adjustments to these fields, you can simply just drag one of these and get rid of them. But let's say that you wanted to add another initial or a date sign, you can just select and drag and drop, and you're done. Or I'll just get rid of that. I don't need it. One of the things that we discovered in our training is that you can create custom fields. So if you wanted to create a custom field, and just before I get into that, you're going to get about, let's say, 85 to 90% by just using the template alone. By the template coming through from zipForms to DocuSign, you get about 85% to 90% there. You will, the first time you use this, you'll want to go through and make sure everything is in the right spot. One of the things to look out for is also in the arbitration clause, and I'll get to that here. I believe it's up here. Yes, it's the liquidated damages and arbitration. You want to make sure that this is set to you want to make sure that it's set to, doesn't like that. Okay, I'll go back to 125. That it's set to an actual initial and not an optional initial. So that's one of the things you want to verify. The reason why is you don't want your clients to set an optional initial. And typically, as I've had other agents that have we've discussed with this with them, or the managers that have done these trainings, they recommend that you've had a conversation with your clients about the contract and about liquidated damages and arbitration, and that you just simply drag and drop an initial as opposed to an optional initial. And the way to do that, of course, would be to take that off. And you put initial. Just like that. Okay. Now moving on to what we call a custom field is, let's say that you wanted to create a field for a text field for a red receipt. Yep.
Yeah, still not getting the, well, as of right now, we've had the video down for about 15 seconds. Can you try turning screen share off and on again, just to reboot? It's tech support in action here. We're figuring it out, folks.
Okay.
Yeah, we see your video. Okay, that's coming in.
Okay, I rebooted it.
All right.
Still not seeing.
We're seeing your video right now. Your camera, that is. Just waiting for the screen to come up.
You're not seeing my screen.
Not right. Not right now.
All right. This is great. Let me let me stop screen sharing. If it will let me. Cancel. All right, share. Okay. You see my screen?
We are. Yes.
Video or me?
I'm seeing your Google Hangouts window, the video chat with my face on it right now.
All right. Well, I don't really know what to do here. So let me see if I can not do that.
Yeah, maybe minimize the Hangout window. Weird.
It's been working great.
Yep, now seeing your video again, your screen share. Yeah, so maybe just minimize the Hangouts window.
All right, let me do that. Okay, you're seeing my video again? Are you seeing zipForms?
Not right now. It's this. I'm just seeing the Hangouts window and it just dropped off again.
Okay. Well,
let's see. Kind of dead in the water here. Maybe go to AC power. I see you're running off a battery. Might be good to be plugged in if possible.
All right.
All right. Appreciate your patience, everybody, while we sort this out. This has been a pretty solid option for us. First few times out, but looks like we're having some bandwidth issues right now.
All right. So why don't you screen share? Let me just turn off screen sharing here. How do I do that?
I should be able to click the stop up top there.
Okay. All right, let's try it again.
I see your camera video now.
You should now see screen share. No?
Yes, we do.
So you can see the zipForms.
It's weird when I go to your screen, it's just going to your headshot. It's just not wanting to do it.
All right, I think we might just have to call this unless you can.
Yeah, I would say let's quit the Hangouts window on your side, and I'll invite you one more time.
All right.
Just a minute, everybody. We're going to get HUD back on and give this one more go. If it doesn't work out, we're probably going to have to call this one early and pick up on DocuSign for next week's session here.
Okay, I'm in.
Yep, video looks good.
Okay.
And we are seeing your Google Hangouts window. Yeah, looks good.
You're seeing.
And now we see DocuSign.
Okay, great. I'll
right.
finish this up. I don't want people to be annoyed with this, so let's go ahead and finish this up, and then we'll have to do a round two.
Sounds good.
So the whole point was that you can add these custom fields. So this is one that we created, a read and received. So I just drop this over here. And then I can then add a signature at the bottom. This would be a great solution if you were to if you have a big stack of documents and you want to verify someone that can just read through them. It's basically adding a stamp. I'm sure that your TCs do that. And then I could then move over to my standard fields and just put a signature under that. So it's basically read and approved page 3 to 50. I can change the text to 3 to 55 if I want to. And there we go. Now, how to create it is probably one of the questions you're having. So if I wanted to create a new field, I would drop this text field here. And I simply just need to start typing in here. Up over to the right. And then I can simply select Save as Custom Field. I can also do things such as changing the font, making it a required field, change the, well, mainly I think what you want to do is save as a custom field. So I'll select that, and it gives me the option to say red receipt. And this is the text, and I would save it, and then it will show up over on my left-hand side. See, I have all of these custom fields that I've created. Most of them are text boxes. And we find that the goal is to show you like a quick solution or a quick way to add some text or trying to save you a little bit of time here. So given things have been going kind of haywire here, I'm going to go ahead and send this document. All right. Now that I'm done. And then let's see what that document looks like on the other side, assuming that people can still see me. That's my window here. A couple of things that I did recently. I made a change to the sending for DocuSign that it actually adds a logo, and something that I find is kind of cool. So if I select this guy, you'll now see that this does give you a Zephyr image. I bet all these extensions are what's killing my connection. And then I can see the additional review of my documents using the Zephyr color scheme. So I can click through and update that. How are things going, Jeff? Or am I still?
Yeah, your video just dropped off again. I'm seeing I'm seeing in the chat your email, but it's not. Yes, so the video feed just caught up. So we're seeing your screen now where it's the review documents button.
Okay, well, essentially, okay, all I'm getting is. Sorry, I'm getting a little frustrated here. So at this point, the next things that you can do is once you receive receive the contracts back in DocuSign, the next thing to do is get those documents into SkySlope. And the easiest way to get them into SkySlope is to simply email them into your account. And just lost my email again. Okay, sorry. And the easiest way to do that is to open up SkySlope. That is, if you're seeing me.
Yep, we're seeing your.
I think it's zipForms. It opens in a different window, and it's doing kind of some weird things to Chrome. I think it opens it up as a different application, possibly. At any rate, I'm not sure if it's my connection, but we'll look into that. So in each transaction in SkySlope, you have an email address that is associated with it, and whether or not you are receiving or creating these SkySlope transactions, or your TC is, you will have a SkySlope email address for each of your transactions. So if I just look, I'm going to look at a quick transaction, just grab any one here. So if you go into your transactions and you open up the transaction, or you can even ask your TC for the email address, you can just grab this email address right here, and it'll be a 14th Street 1081, for example, at skyslope.com. You just copy that email address like I just did, and any documents you receive back.
Can you jump back to the transaction screen in SkySlope? Video didn't catch up with you there. So okay. we didn't actually see the shot of the email address.
Okay, let me try it again. So select your transactions. So select an active transaction that you have.
So I see active. Yeah. Okay.
In an agent view, it would be it would be a button for transactions, existing transactions. I'm logged in as an admin, so of course I'm seeing multiple transactions. Okay, are you seeing the screen?
Yeah, we're seeing a list of transactions now.
Oh, you're still not I've already clicked through beyond that. Okay.
Yeah, it's taken some time to catch up here. Might be time to call it.
Yeah, let's call it.
Yeah. All right, folks. Sorry about the technical issues here, but I think as HUD was alluding to, we just want to pull that email address so that once you have your finalized documents in DocuSign, you just forward it to that singular email address. That way you have all your documents in DocuSign. Is that kind of the gist of that final step there, HUD?
Yep, that's it. And then the idea is that as you receive documents back, the final document from DocuSign, you simply just forward it to SkySlope, and then your documents will automatically go into the inbox in the SkySlope, and then either you or your TC can move those files to the appropriate a placeholder on the checklist.
All right, so do appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today live on YouTube. We're going to keep this going. Got another session planned for next week. Right now slated for a folio walkthrough, which is very much tied into this transaction management stuff here in terms of having a timeline for you and your clients in terms of important dates on the transaction. And basically it's a Chrome extension that organizes all of your emails around a transaction into one kind of smart folder and gives you a bunch of other options in terms of the timeline I mentioned and staying on top of the important dates for that particular transaction, like inspections and the like. And if you enjoyed the session today, hope you'll give us a like or a comment and subscribe to our channel. That way we can become big time YouTube stars and make a ton of money. Or just join us next week, and that would be just as good. Had anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, that's it.
All right, everybody, have a great day.